Yes, yes. Conversation of the Heart, Season 3, Episode 6. Make it make sense with the one and only Chris Classic, y'all. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. So, today, we're going to have a very, very special guest. Someone who needs no introduction. We're going to be getting into a lot of conversation, surrounding, fatherhood, being an entrepreneur. It's going to be a lot of good conversation surrounding, being a creative and the pressures of being a creative and things like that. So stay tuned. Rock with me. Appreciate y'all. It's going to be a good one with Mr. Chris Classic. It's coming on. He's the CEO, creator of Savoir Faire. And it's going to be a good conversation. So we're going to be going through the process of entrepreneurship, the highs and lows of being a creative, journey of fatherhood, kind of balancing entrepreneurship and family, and then also the importance of paying it forward. So it should definitely be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Yep, so we're just going to wait for Chris Classic to kind of tap on in here so we can have this conversation. He's an artist. He's an entrepreneur. Just like I said, he's the co-host of Uncorked Conversations. Has a really great line, too, that we're going to get into all that, too. So, there he is right there. Let me tap him on in. Let's see.
Peace.
Chris.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I can't complain. I can't call it. Man, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for doing this, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. Happy to be here. And excuse the car. I got to do how I can do.
Hey, listen, man. It's all good, brother. I definitely know how it is, man. You're a busy man with a great family and a great brand, bro. So for those who don't know, and I don't know how many of you don't know, but Chris Classic, he's an entrepreneur. He's an incredible artist, rapper, creator of an incredible brand called Savoir Faire. And, I've been lucky enough, blessed enough to actually kind of saw it from the beginning. I saw it like when you moved to Atlanta, you had the warehouse. It was empty. You know what I'm saying? And, man, to see where it is now, it's amazing. Oh, I think
I'm here.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I was just saying, I saw like when you first started my Savoir Faire, and like honestly, man, like to see where it is now, right? To see like the candles, the mood mist, the different fragrances, like you're very creative, and even now the clothing line too. You know what I'm saying? And I've been blessed enough to be able to get my hands on, a lot of the merch and a lot of the candles and the shades and everything, bro. So definitely congratulations and salute to you, because it's not easy being, somebody, a person of color, especially, to be in the fragrance industry, right? You don't see it often.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being supportive.
Of course, bro, definitely. And I always will. And I always tell people, he has quality products, but incredible customer service too. And that's key. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, man, appreciate that. So what made you go from, because you're a dope artist, you're a dope MC. I'm waiting for another project, as I know everybody is probably too. It's like the Rihanna project. Everybody's waiting for that, man. But what made you go from, just music to now creating this amazing brand called Savoir Faire?
Well, honestly, I was just going through a hell of a time in life. And in 2016, well, actually in 2015, there was a film studio that owed our production team money for a project that we did. And it was just caught up in red tape. And I exhausted my savings waiting for it. And I was kind of at wit's end, you know what I'm saying? Didn't know exactly what I was going to do. Although there were residuals that were coming in every now and then, it wasn't really enough to like sustain real life. And, you know, took my talents to Atlanta. Cost of living was a lot less expensive than New York.
Yep,
I also
I
had
know.
an incredible partner who was just like, come on, I got you. And, you know,
Mm,
that was something that was a little bit of an ego check for me, right? As a dude, you know,
right.
to have a woman say, okay, I see you down on yourself right now. Come on, I got you, you know? And so through, you know, reluctancy, I decided to go for it. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I was so reluctant about was not only the ego and the pride, but it was the first time I would ever have been without my son. And so that was the thing that was really kind of like, you know, making it a tough decision. But decided to follow what I felt was God's favor, and came down here. And thankfully, eventually, you know, my son was able to come down a year after.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so during that process, I was meeting a lot of people. And one of the people that I met through social media uh, asked for some, like, not really mentorship, but just, hey, man, can I just pick your brain about how you handle, you know, like being yourself, but also being a family guy, being in a relationship? Like, how do you make that work? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I could pay you. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I was just like, man, you telling me about your, you know, your struggles that you dealing with. I can't take your bread. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
But I did find out that he made candles and he made fragrances. So I'm like, yo,
Mm,
I love fragrances. Why don't we do this? How about we meet, you know, a few times a month or whatever, and you show me how I can make my own fragrance, like for myself, just one bottle. And I'll
mm-hmm.
tell you anything you want to know about my secrets in life. And, bro, we spent 10 months just, you know, locking in. And, you know, when I would leave the gathering spot, because that's where we would meet, which is kind of like a members only, you know, club here in Atlanta. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, every time I would leave, I would ask the people at the bar what they thought of, you know, the fragrance that, you know, I was working
Mm-hmm.
on. And when it got to the point where they were all like, yo, I think I want to buy this, or I think you should sell it, right? Because that's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to buy it, and you know what? I think you should sell this. I don't really love it, but I know my brother would, or I know a lot of people would
Right.
like it. It's not really my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I got my start. And that was 2017. And through God's grace, through trial and error, through
Mm-hmm.
being transparent,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, all of those things, just trying to put out a quality product that I would wear. Um,
Right.
it's turned into a viable business now, going on, you know, getting ready to go on year 6. So you know, it's super exciting, and I've always loved fragrances, so it wasn't like I had to be
Mm-hmm.
taught about quality. It was getting over that hurdle of being a consumer and realizing that you have the bandwidth as a creative to actually produce.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's an amazing, man. That's really dope. Um, the one thing that I do appreciate about your products and about your thought process and how you create is you always include us,
Mm-hmm.
like our history, even down to the packaging, right? Like, it is so dope. And I'm like, man, like, yo, that's so different from what you see, you know what I'm saying, out here. And that's why I really love it, man. You're always very inclusive. And you're also very supportive of other brands too. I see you post other Black-owned fragrance brands and things like that, wines and, just all types of Black-owned companies. So, like, why do you think it's so important for you to have a successful brand yourself now to also support other brands too?
And thank you for the compliments. I think it's important because I may be one of the first brands, fragrance wise, that someone decides to try. And if they have a great experience with me, then that will hopefully give them the aptitude to try another Black-owned fragrance brand. So the reason
Mm,
why I try to be supportive of so many is because we're all new. You know what I'm saying? Like prior to
yeah.
2017, prior to my start, the only Black-owned, purely Black-owned fragrance brand that wasn't a celebrity that put their name on something was Sean Crenshaw of Ovation. And
Mm,
him and I have become like brothers. And actually, someone who is my brother, who I've known since 15 years old, is one of his partners, business partners. And so it's just like since then, I've seen 20 or 30 that have
hmm.
emerged and globally. And so I
Wow.
think that you know we are finally waking up and realizing how much we should own of the market share, especially because
Hmm.
we consume so much. And so my goal is to just make it super um, normal for a person to be wearing a fragrance brand that happens to be Black owned. Um,
Wow.
yes, there is some science that goes into the notes that are being used because certain notes um, come from certain places in the diaspora, and we're connected to them sometimes without knowing, right? Just like you
Right.
can hear certain sounds in music. You could be a kid from Memphis, Tennessee, but you hear, Fela, and it's kind of like there's something that resonates and you don't know why. Or you can hear,
Mm,
tribal, certain tribal, native tribal music, and it just resonates and you don't know why. It's because those notes are in your DNA. And so
hmm.
fragrances are no different. And so, you know, we're cool with
Hmm.
having our own beard products. We're super comfortable with buying products for our hair that are exclusive to us. We've
Hmm.
seen companies now like, Gillette suddenly, because of the success of Bevel, now make
Hmm.
razors that they show Black men, knowing that we have different pores, and so
Hmm.
they have different razors now that, guard against razor bumps, which is something they've never done historically. So I think just
Hmm.
being aware of our power and our presence and our ability to make our own goods, um, quality that happen to be Black owned. That shouldn't always be the draw. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like when it matters, yes, that's cool, but it shouldn't just be the thing that you're hanging your hat on as the reason why you should be supported. You should have a really good product, and it just so happens
Hmm.
that you're Black. Just like an actor, just like an athlete or any other profession.
Hmm.
So I'm just trying to do my part.
Man, hey, you definitely doing your part, man. And like you mentioned, just kind of being a father and incredible father of, I think your son is searching for colleges now, right?
Yeah,
I think he's at that age, right?
yeah.
And then now you have a beautiful daughter too, right?
Thank you.
And you're super busy, creating this incredible brand. Like, how do you find the time, right?
I
Like, how do you find the time to be a father, a husband, and create this amazing brand?
I don't know. It's really I really don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw this thing on Pinterest because I was in my feelings sometimes, and when I'm in my feelings I try to find quotes and things that offer me a different perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
what I saw, there was one quote, I was on Pinterest or looking up something, and the quote was something like, "Don't ask me how I'm doing, because I don't know how I'm doing. Like I'm just doing it, and I don't know how." So I've learned to pray a lot,
Mm-hmm.
which for me, I'm praying for wisdom and for an ease of mind. I'm super careful about what I pray for, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you could pray for time, and then that means your business fails, because your business failing would be the only way that you would really have time, right? So
Oh.
I'm super careful about the words that I speak to my creator, and I usually just ask for wisdom, for balance, and an ease of mind, because if I don't feel stressed about it, then I can continue. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
I just try to have fun in being creative. I try to have fun
Mm-hmm.
with my children and with my family. Um, I know that if things were a bit more ideal, I would have more time to spend. But I'm also building something that will be a legacy, hopefully. And if I were a truck driver that was providing for my family that way, you wouldn't see me at all. And so, the few hours that I have every day, some in the morning and some late at night, I make the best of, and just try to be observant and present, to where I'm lacking, and then just attack those things.
Excuse me. Amazing, man. So I know earlier you said that in the transition from New York to Atlanta, I'm from New York too. I'm from New York City too, from Queens,
All right.
right? And like making that transition from New York to Atlanta, it was kind of, you said it was a little bit of a kind of a hard pill to swallow, just because, like you had a lady that was ready to just kind of just say, yo, I got you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how important do you think that is for men sometimes to kind of say, you know what, man, like this is your pride, this is your ego, bro. Like you're going to get to where you have to get to, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? But sometimes if you have somebody that's truly in your corner and have your back, it's okay to accept and it's okay to receive,
Yeah,
right?
that's a tricky thing. In my particular case, there was a guaranteed end, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lump sum of money that was indeed waiting for me, right? And a check did
Right.
indeed come. It took longer than expected, and it was a real thing. I think what happens is you may have men who are undecided about their future, who don't know what
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we all desire companionship. We all desire love. We all desire affection. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, it's just like you have to be realistic. If you don't have a goal or a plan that is tangible, with tangible action,
Mm-hmm.
not just, yo, I want to be a rapper and I need you to hold me down while I pursue my career. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have tangible action items, it is really unfair to expect someone to
Mm-hmm.
always have your back and to hold you down. Um,
100%.
Holding someone
Mm-hmm.
down is temporary, right? Holding someone down
Yeah,
is, I got you until you got yourself, or until you're back to
exactly.
where you were. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
there is a real difference between um, accepting help when you're in a jam, which
Right.
is a thing that you should get over, over your ego, and actually accept the help if it's being offered to you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between that and trying to take advantage of someone,
Yes.
and looking
Yes.
to get over on someone, or looking to manipulate someone's affection, that they may have for you, in order to benefit you without anything that is reciprocal on your end. So yeah, I would always tell anyone who's in a position, if things have gone bad for you and someone's willing to help you, I would accept the help once I really have a tangible plan and it's in action. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know people in relationships don't always go like tit for tat or whatever, but there should be some return on the investment of you know, someone pouring into you, whether it's, you know, you are able to facilitate them in the same way, whether it be financially, yo, I'm paying you back literally for everything that you've done for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they may just want your time. Honor them with that.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it is really important for men to take responsibility for themselves, and when they're down, being able to have a companion or a mate that can hold them down is a great thing if they can get over the ego. But they really got to be moving toward and working towards something first.
Right. And that's something that is so important that you said is that there has to be, right, like a goal in action,
Hmm.
right? Like, you know, and I know I speak to a lot of women and they always say like, I would absolutely hold my person down, but they don't ever want to accept the help. It's like they self-sabotage. They go into this thing where it's just like, nah, I'm good, you know, and it's just like, because they might want the person's time, but
Hmm.
because the guy is so much like, man, you know what I mean? If I can't provide this thing, this money, this providership money right now, then
Hmm.
it kind of sabotages the relationship and things like that. When the person is saying like, I'm good right here, but I need you on this level. I need you to emotionally be available. You know, right? Somebody that I can go to lean on, to cry on, whatever the case is, to take care of other things, right? So, I mean, I think like it's super important that you did say, you know what I'm saying, that yes, it's good to accept the help. Yes, definitely get over yourself, but also have a tangible plan of action to go forward. And
Right.
that's super important, man.
Absolutely.
That's very dope. Um, man, like what does your journey of fatherhood look like, man? Because you, like, it's like I said, you know, like your incredible son, he's big, he's off to college, right? Like, and now you have a beautiful baby girl who's small. Like, what has the journey of fatherhood been like down through the years?
It is the biggest blessing that I can describe. You know, Julian was born a year after I married his mom. We were young, thought this is the way you're supposed to do it. You know, for me, I looked at all of my mentors that I looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
They were all married with children, right? And so at 23,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I got to do. Um, Now, in hindsight, I realized that a few of them, they were on their second marriage, right? By the time
Mm-hmm.
I got to know who they were. So they, had made mistakes. They had made poor choices. They had done the wrong things in life. And so many of them were on their second marriage. Um, but for me, Julian, for me, was the first time seeing myself outside of myself. And
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to be aware of everything that I was involved in. So I would bring him to the studio with me. I would bring him to restaurants with me. When there were day parties at restaurants that I knew couldn't operate really like a club, I would bring him
Mm-hmm.
just so that he can understand, And I started sharing a lot of my fatherhood journey and my co-parenting journey on social media, which is
You
what
did.
grew my platform. Because at that time in 2009, 2010, before Instagram, there weren't really a lot of men, especially in the entertainment business, that were
Mm-hmm.
really avidly showing their children. It was almost like I need to be single and available for any other woman in the world. So if you see kids, you're not going to want to mess with me. So I'm not going to show anything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women wanted to be able to see how a black man in that particular time lived his life and still made time for his children. And, when we got divorced, it was just like, okay, well, how do you co-parent so respectfully? You know what I'm saying? We would get together and have these co-parent conversations where we would go and have breakfast and we would talk about all the nuances of what was going on. And those things really, were helpful for me just to heal, and also to develop a better rapport, with Julian, and for him to, know that there was power in transparency and power in vulnerability. And then once Ryan and I got married, she has a son who I call my plus son because I don't like the
Mm-hmm.
term step child or step anything.
Mm-hmm.
His father is super active in his life, so I just say I'm the plus pops because I'm just adding on, You know what I'm saying? And being
Right.
positive support. And so now we have Zuri, and she's like a bundle of energy, and she's feisty like her mom, and she's super smart and observant, and she's artistic and creative, and like she observed so much. I was listening to D'Angelo the other day. She asked who he was, and then I put on the Brown Sugar album, and she can see the display in the car, and she's like, no, 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 not this one, the dark one, which was the Voodoo album, right? And so she was able
Ah,
to know that. And then when she got in the car with her mom, it was just like, I want to hear D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying? So she's just an incredible blessing that I prayed for. I always wanted a daughter, but just didn't think I would have one. When I
yeah,
met my wife, she had 4 nieces. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I got my daughter wish through
yeah.
these nieces. And we're super
Hmm.
close, with their dad. So it was like, cool. I'm getting the benefit of having that daughter,
Right.
dad type relationship, but they go home. You know what I'm saying? And Zuri came like a surprise gift, and he's been a blessing ever since. So there are certain nuances with kids that like male and female sons and daughters that I did.
Yeah.
Transparently, I assumed that when she turned 9 or 10 or 11, there was going to be a magical day that her body would function a certain way, and then I'd have to learn how to deal with emotional mood swings and things like that.
Right.
She's emotional already, and she's 3, and she could be like
Wow.
listening to music on YouTube or watching a Disney movie, and when sad music plays, she's starting to cry. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
I realized that I am raising a grown woman who happens to be now. You know what I'm saying? So I try to
Wow.
reverse, treat her like reverse engineering. And I think about all the women that I think are dope, like her mom, and like, my aunts and my mom and other, female relatives of
Hmm.
mine, and my homegirls that I think are amazing and dope and ambitious and empowered.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, so
Hmm.
this is what I want her to be like. Then how do I have to treat her at 3? And so that's really, where I'm at now, taking Julian to visit the school he wants to go to on Saturday. So it's just, bro, it's nonstop, man. It's nonstop. And, I guess this is what I prayed for. So I try not to complain.
Nah, man, definitely not. Um, so when it comes to this music, man, like, is there something next? You know what I'm saying? I just want to know,
There,
you know?
there's nothing concrete right now.
Hmm.
But I will say that I am collecting music and collecting tracks and observing producers, hoping to connect and gel with someone. Here in Atlanta is really tough to find a lot of producers and engineers that love the style of music I create. And
Hmm.
so it's difficult for me to go to like any engineer or any producer who like they only make trap music or they only mix trap records. They're not going to have the same
Hmm.
enthusiasm about what I'm making. Kind of like if you want
Right.
super high-end cuisine, for example, you may not choose to go to Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
there's nothing wrong with
Right.
Chick-fil-A, but that's not what you're in the mood for. So
Hmm.
I'm just trying to find my tribe, here in Atlanta, and
Hmm.
so I can have a proper home to work out of.
Right.
But other than that, man, I'm still interested and itching to make music. It's really been bothering me that I haven't been able to.
Mm.
So hopefully it'll happen soon.
I was bumping your albums all weekend, man. I was like, yeah, I was going. It feels like New York. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like New York. You know what I'm saying? And I was bumping them all weekend, man. Coretta's an amazing track too. That's one of my favorites. Just
Thank
to let you know, by the way.
thank you.
Um, but to double back to what we were just talking about, what advice would you give young men who are growing up, right? To who have maybe who might have a child and they're having difficulty, right, with the mother of their child, and they want to co-parent, but it's just like this, right? Like, what advice would you give somebody who is a little younger, right, that's going through this, or maybe somebody who's just going through this period, right, to say, how do I co-parent? Because I'm not gonna lie, like when I, years ago, you were the person that I saw that was like co-parenting and successfully, right? And I was like, that's super dope. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what advice would you give that person?
Shed the ego. The
Mm,
ego is like, be okay with taking repeated losses momentarily, because typically what causes a disruption in co-parenting relationships is no one wants to concede. No one wants to give the other person more credit, more props, more time, more forgiveness, more grace. And sometimes, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but sometimes there is a resentment of anyone who's moved on. And so
mm-hmm,
what you may find is, if people are splitting up, the mother may say, well, I want the kids because I'm their mother and I can't fathom being without them. As the father,
mm-hmm,
you may say, okay, let's work out when they can be with me.
mm-hmm,
If you don't properly, if you're not properly active while together, it's going to be really hard for her to imagine and fathom how responsible and present you're going to be when you're apart. And sometimes when you don't have children in your house, you have a lot more
mm-hmm,
freedom to move about and be active. Not necessarily that you are engaging in whatever activity with the opposite sex or any of that. You just have more free time to do things that you may want to do. That can cause a lot of
mm-hmm,
resentment from someone who all of a sudden nothing changes except for they have more responsibility because you're not there to work,
mm-hmm,
right? And so that resentment
mm-hmm,
is almost like, I'm mad at you because you have more time than me. I'm mad at you because
mm-hmm,
I have more responsibility than you now. And I'm mad at you for even putting us, right, in this predicament, right? So until there's a forgiveness there, you're going to have that same energy and it's going to transfer over into the relationship, you know, that involves the kids. You know, when a father is super responsible and can take accountability for himself, he will be able to identify if his actions are dodgy, if his actions are slippery, if his actions don't really scream that he's responsible. Um,
mm-hmm,
and a lot of times it's really just, it's pettiness. If you can
mm-hmm,
get rid of the urge to be petty, or matter of fact,
mm-hmm,
the urge is natural in most cases. But if you can just
mm-hmm.
withhold the petty, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I've learned the beautiful practice and habit of writing out text messages, scathing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I put my phone down and never press send, and I walk away for a bit.
Mm,
And it feels like
mm,
I told them what I wanted to say. And then I go back and then I start thinking about how that might have come across. I almost start imagining what the answers are to this text that I did not send, right? And then it's just like, oh no, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. And I'm glad I didn't. So now I can go, I done got it out, I released the dopamine or the serotonin, whatever chemical in the brain it is, I forget which one. But I got it out. I got it off. I said it. And guess what? Now I can delete it. And we can continue the conversation and continue communicating.
mm-hmm,
So I would say your children are worth it. I would say your peace
mm-hmm,
of mind is worth it. I would say there's no ego when it comes to your kids. There's pride, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no ego. They just want
Mm-hmm.
you to love them. So do what it takes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And be able to call out a mother who is purposely not working with you when you have done everything without pettiness, without spite. You're present. You don't do those little petty things. If you know you're not doing that, then you have every right to be able to say, hey, listen, this is what's happening, and these are the things that you're doing. Why are you,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and get help. Speak to a mediator, speak to a counselor, a therapist who can help, kind of walk you back and relieve some of those feelings. And if you find it successful, if you're in a financial position, offer the mother to not necessarily join you, but to go on her own. And it may allow some feelings to just be shown a mirror to, that sometimes you don't receive that mirror well if it's coming from the person that you mad at. But
Yep.
a neutral third party might be able to say, girl, you do have something in your nose, and you telling him that he need to blow his, but you got a booger dangling, and I love you. That's why I'm telling you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think in certain cases, family therapy, however that can work,
Mm-hmm.
is super helpful.
Man, and that's amazing, man. That's super dope. And it's simply great advice. And what you just said could actually be applied to regular relationships,
Oh,
whether you have a
absolutely.
kid or whether you don't. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're married or you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, like sometimes you can always be tempted to just
Hmm.
text that or just say a response because you feel like they deserve that response based
Right.
off of what they just told you.
Hmm.
And that's what I've been learning too. Because for me, I always said, listen, man, like I don't start it, but I'm gonna finish it, right? And then in my journey of of learning and growing is like you don't have to do that either, because simply because you don't know what they're going through in their life, and sometimes half the stuff may not even be about you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to take the time to kind of drill down and see what it is that they're going through. You know what I'm saying? So that maybe you can come to a solution versus lighting the fire,
Right.
right? And it becoming something bigger and better. But yeah, man, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that insight. So from the outside looking in, people might be look at you and say, man, Chris is always creating, man. Like he got the jeans jacket, he got the candles, the mood mist, the shades, like the colognes. Like there's never there's no way that he's not ever not in a creative space, right? Or that he has problems with being creative. But sometimes as a creative, you do have problems
Absolutely.
creating, or you know what I'm saying? So like so when you get in that space of, man, like I just can't create, I can't break through like I want to, because you have goals and timelines and things like that. What do you do to kind of break yourself out of that to get to a creative space?
I give to other people. I become
Mm,
creative for other people. Um, that
mm,
that is unfortunately my that's where I'm a sucker at. Like, if I see like there's a great idea that someone is talking about, I'm this guy.
mm-hmm.
Yo, you know what you should do? And it's an incredible idea. Like, it's real. And I'm like, yo, listen. And so you do it like this. I can call my person, and I start pouring
Mm-hmm.
into other people when it, that I can deem them worthy of receiving that energy. And not
Right.
necessarily like commandeering someone's idea, but more so like, yo, I was I had this brain fart of an idea for you, and just let me know what you think, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
those things are what get me over the hump. Um, I could, and I say this all the time, it just comes from um, writing music for film and television. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was not allowed to be attached to the things I created because there was no guarantee that they would be accepted for the film
Mm,
or for the TV show. So I think, like, for me, if you told me, hey man, I'm gonna give you 3 days to write a couple songs for yourself, I can't do it. Like it's too much on my brain, and whatever. But if you said, hey, Coca-Cola is, here in Atlanta, they saw you, they want you to write a couple jingles for their ads, I could do it in my sleep. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I've always just been okay with like being creative for other people. And so when I find myself in a rut or I'm stuck, I just usually find some other way that I can be creative with someone else, and then I circle back.
Man. Oh, that's dope. Because sometimes, like when you post things, and when people just see you post your stuff, it's like it's easy. It's like, man, like he just out here just creating content. He just creating these candles. He just creating these fragrances, and nobody really knows that it's a process. Like it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of process, because I know you're in your car and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I have a couple things like the mood mist right here, right? You know what I'm saying? And that takes like how do you come up with these concepts of just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So, and the names, it's like Soul Cafe plus Lavender, right? Like that takes a lot of creativity, right? And then you got the Mood for Two candle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these are things, and you have very creative names, right? And that's a process too. Like you might have a great product, but then the names itself sometimes can get you stuck. Like, man, like I can't come up with the name for this. The fragrance is great, but like that's a process in itself. That's another creative process, man. So like, so how long does it actually take for you to actually say, you know what, I want to do a candle, right? How long does that take? From the go ahead.
Well, for me, I work on a lot of things in secret, and I may share it when I feel like it's like 85% done, and I know that there's nothing else that's stopping me from finishing it except for, maybe getting it from the manufacturer or getting the shipment of candles, right? But when it comes to naming things, I'm pretty good. I am pretty good at that. So that is one thing that I will say is pretty easy, coming up with names for things. I'm a good identifier of things. But I think as far as, like having so many different products, it is not easy. And what I share on social media is 9 times out of 10, it's literally like on a whim, unless someone else like for the fragrances, I have a commercial that, someone shot for me. Those types of things I've outsourced because I'm not good with the camera like that. And I wanted someone else's take on what my brand feels like to them because I trusted their creativity. So for me, I'm kind of at the point now where I'm looking to take a step back from being synonymous with the fragrances. Because there may be someone, listen, we all have people, sometimes social media figures or celebrities that we just don't like their face. They didn't do nothing to us. We don't know them from a hole in the wall, but something about that person I just don't like. I know for sure that there's people that may see me and what's up with his hair and, like whatever. They may not like me, and I don't want that to be a deterrent of them liking my fragrances or any other product of mine. So I'm at the point now where I'm just kind of slowly dialing back being all in the videos, like
all in the videos,
Diddy, right? And trying to get people to see themselves in any ads or content that they see, for my fragrances or anything else, from the company. So people being seen and people feeling included and seeing themselves represented is super important in every other thing in our community. So I need to apply that to my brand as well.
Most definitely. And the one thing that I do love this concept. So I have this here,
the discovery box.
The discovery box for me is key, especially when I travel and stuff like that, man. Like that for me, like when I tell you it's the clutchest thing ever, like it's just so easy to just take with you and go.
Right.
But I love the packaging behind it too. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can take it with you in your carry-on. You can take it with you, put it in your suitcase. It's not going to break. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Versus it's somebody just selling one of those things and it's just, all right, so I got to find some way to put it. It's going to break. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. Those are things that are key too when it comes to packaging too. So I like the fact that it's not just about, yes, it's about the fragrance and the idea, but it's also about the packaging too. Like the ideas that you have don't just stop at the product, but it goes to the packaging.
The
Like the rich
packaging,
bros.
the packaging for me, and thank you very much for the compliments. The packaging is just like seeing someone that you're about to do business with and they have on, sweats and slides. Is kind of like,
Mm,
well, unless they're a physical trainer, you're just like, well, is this person serious? Right? Like,
mm.
should I trust you with my life insurance and you look like you about to go play ball, like all the time? Not
Right.
just, hey,
Right.
we actually agreed to meet before you're going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so the packaging matters. I've been observant of the brands that I look up to and the brands that I admire, and they all have clever packaging. Just looking at some of the fragrance influencers and the fragrance reviewers, when they are opening packages from these, multi-billion-dollar brands, the packaging looks really good. And I just want other Black entrepreneurs to pay attention to their packaging, because otherwise it comes off like a side hustle. It comes off like, yo, this is something I'm doing. I'm
Ooh.
not all the way there yet, but you feel me? Just come on and support. And it's just like,
Mm.
but you're not asking for a discounted price either. You want someone to pay you as much as Creed fragrances, but your packaging
Mm-hmm.
looks like, the old bootleg Avon joints that they would sell in a parking lot. You know what I'm saying? So,
Facts.
there's no way that you can expect people to want to give you quality money, and their
Mm-hmm.
hard-earned money, if you don't have a quality product. And you know, the only time where packaging
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really matter is food. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got some great food from a restaurant and it was just like in a
Ooh.
styrofoam, but it's busting, you
You're gonna
fine.
tear it up.
But
Mm-hmm.
that food is also 10 or 12 bucks, and not $135 for a 50 ml of parfum. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, definitely, man. Listen, I do know you have to go, but I just want to encourage everybody to go support this brother, man, because as you can see, he really takes pride in everything that he does, the packaging, from the names of his products, you know what I'm saying, to every single detail. And it always is inclusive of us, our history too. When you buy the fragrances, you'll see the packaging and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
When you like, everything that he does, bro, it's really about us and people. And I just want to say, bro, like, yo, I salute you for everything that you're doing for the culture, for us. You know what I'm saying? Being a father too, being an incredible father, a
Thank
husband, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to your whole family too, man. I'm gonna always continue to support you, not just because you're Black, but one, it's because you're an innovator. You put out great quality products, man,
thank you.
and you have great customer service, and you do it not on your own, but like you distribute,
Mhm.
like you ship,
Right.
you do all that stuff. That's a lot of legwork, man. And I'm gonna always support somebody that has that and that has the quality too, bro. So listen, man, I appreciate you and all of the knowledge that you've been dropping on us today, man. Listen, man, I appreciate you, bro, always, man.
T, I
Thank you, man. I
appreciate you
appreciate you so
having
much.
me. And the next time we do this, I'll be in a proper environment, probably at the lab, hopefully, and I can show you some things, that we got cooking in the stove.
Appreciate you always, brother. Take care, man. Drive safe too,
Thank you.
my man.
Peace.
Peace. Appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in. That's the wrap. Conversation of the Heart, season 2, episode 6. We dropping something next week, Thursday too. It's gonna be amazing. Tune in again. Appreciate y'all. Follow, like, subscribe, all that, man. Appreciate y'all. It's your boy T Till, man. Peace.